Lesson 8, Working with High Resolution Images. So there's this Avid Media Composer certification, have you down. You wondering, Leon, you ask yourself, Leon, why are you making us do this? This is all review. Well, it's about to get real. It's about to get really real. From Lesson 8 on, we're really going to start to get into some pretty cool effects. And these are cool effects that you can start to apply to your projects. Things that you probably wondered if you could do or how you could do it. You're going to start to figure it out. So what we're going to do is I have a sequence open here, okay? And we're going to start to kind of play around with how can I pan and zoom. So back when we had 4x3 television sets, when they would adapt a film for TV, they would have to pan and zoom it. So your film, okay, like your movie was shot in 16:9. So what they had to do, that aspect ratio wouldn't fit into a 4x3 television set. So they either put the black bars on the top and bottom. I don't know if you guys are remember that from your youth, but they used to have black bars on the top and bottom. That kept the original format of the film so you could see it on your TV as it was meant to be seen. But a lot of times on a broadcast network, they would trim it so that way they could show it on the 4x3 television monitor. So what they would do is they would pan and scan it. They would actually, take different parts of the movie and pan and zoom in so that way it would fit the monitor. So you can actually have that. You actually have that that tool available to you in Avid. You may not be changing it to a different aspect ratio, but you can kind of add some cool effects to your video. So for example, I'm going to go back to the first shot here. So here's a shot of the Golden Gate Bridge, and it is shot through an eyepiece. Okay, so the video is kind of, it's a cool shot of the bridge, but we don't want this eyepiece right here. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to actually zoom it in and lose the eyepiece. So a lot of times you can just resize it, and that would work as well. But maybe you want to do like a slow zoom through the eyepiece. Maybe it's more of an you have an artistic type of vision of how the shot's going to be, and it's going to be a slow zoom in through the eyepiece. Well, what you can do is you can use the pan and zoom effect, which is under your effect images right here, or these clips are actually in a different resolution. So as you've been editing throughout the course, you probably have noticed these little adapter, these little S's or S's, T's or C's that show up on your timeline. That is because Avid automatically converts any type of video to the project that you're working in. So if you have 1080i and 720p, you can actually work with all that footage in the same timeline, and Avid will convert it automatically for you. So right here, you can see the adapters we have on all of our clips has the letter S next to it. That means it's a spatial adapter, or another way to remember it is size. Okay, it can scale the size of the actual image. There's different types of adapters that you may see on your timeline. You may see a T. Okay, a T means temporal adapter, which adapts the speed rate of a playback clip, and you may see C, which is a color adapter, which adapts the color image per the source color settings. All right, so you can choose to show these on your clips or not show them by coming down to your quick menu down here and going to show adapters, and you can pick and choose which ones you want to have on or not. I can turn them all off, and you can see that when it shows a green dot, that's showing that Avid is converting that clip to match the project format. But if you want to know exactly what the adapter is, go to Show Adapters, click on All, and it will appear in your timeline. So now the fun part is let's zoom in on the Golden Gate Bridge, like we're looking through the viewfinder into the bridge. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into our effect editor. I don't even have to put an effect on here because the clip is already affected. I'm going to go into my effect editor, and this is called Frame Flex. And this is an awesome little effect that you can use on your projects. You may see it a lot, like if you're watching a documentary and you know how the pictures move in, you zoom in on certain types of pictures. They are using frame flex. Easy for me to say. So right here, when you click on the effect editor, you see the frame flex and all the different parameters that you can do to your video. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in through the eyepiece, and I'm going to do that by hitting a keyframe. So now I have a keyframe at the beginning of my effect. I'm going to go to the end, and then I'm going to decrease my workspace by hitting the negative magnifying glass, grab my wireframe, and I'm going to increase the size of it. I'm going to increase the size of it. So you're probably saying, well, why are you making it smaller? I'm not making it smaller. So whatever I do over on this side this is what it's going to look like on the source monitor. So I know I'm making it smaller, but what I'm really doing is I'm zooming in on the object. Now watch what happens in the left-hand monitor. See how I zoomed in on the bridge. Okay? So this wireframe is really representing the monitor. So now when I play this back, it's going to start, I'm going to click out of Effect Editor, it's going to start as a full frame, but when I play it, it's going to slowly zoom in through the viewfinder, which is a really cool effect. And it's keeping the same resolution as it's zooming in. You're not losing any resolution. And you can do all sorts of cool things with it. We could, like right here, I have my rotate tool on. I can rotate it around the z-axis. So maybe I, flip it around to give it kind of a cool, and notice how no matter where your blue bar is, okay, that's where you're going to insert a keyframe if you change the parameter of that particular clip. So now, I'm going to start my keyframe there, click out of Effect Editor, and I'm going to flip it around. Flips around, okay? So it's goofy, but it gives you an idea of what it looks like. You can get rid of keyframes just by hitting delete. Okay? So that is called frame flex. Another thing that you guys can do is you can do the pan and zoom that we were talking about. All right? So you can click on the pan and zoom effect. So actually I'm going to go into, I'm just going to grab a different. Nah, I'm going to leave the same one. So I'm going to go into here. I'm going to grab my pan and zoom effect. And I'm going to put that on a clip. And even though I don't see the video in here, what this allows me to do, watch the size. See how the wireframe is right here? This is allowing me to pan and zoom into whatever part of the clip that I want. So say I want to zoom into the upper right-hand corner. It's going to, using keyframes, it would start full screen. Here, I add a keyframe. I'm going to bring this back to here. Make it a little bit bigger. My size, zoom factor. Let's bring it full. And then if I go to the end, I can actually zoom in on a certain section. This is what you see when you see, especially those pictures, whenever there's still pictures, when you're watching a documentary, and it zooms in on certain types of pictures. Maybe the Ken Burns effect, if you know what the Ken Burns effect is, this is how they do it. They use the pan and zoom. So a couple of really cool effects. The frame flex, showing the adapters in your timeline, and the pan and zoom allows you to really add a little bit more spice to your video, especially when you forget to zoom in or zoom out, or if you're trying to do a really cool effect like zooming in through that viewfinder. Okay, so that is lesson 8, quick and simple. See ya in lesson 9. Leon out.